Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us for another edition of the West Tokyo Jolt podcast. I'm your host, as usual, the president of West Tokyo Jolt, Jason Pratt, and I'm joined with Gerome Rothman of the Tozen Union, who spoke to us today about collective action, solidarity, and themes of that matter. Gerome, could I first ask you just to introduce yourself a little, going beyond what I've said here?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. My name is Gerome Rothman. I am the field director and an organizer with Tozen Union, which is a general union based in Tokyo, but it's a nationwide union. We're affiliated with Rengo Tokyo, the national federation called Rengo Tokyo, and we have about 250 members. We're mainly in industries that are multicultural workplaces, but we are accepting members from all kinds of workplaces. We consider ourselves an activist union, and our goal is to be the most democratic union in the world.
The most democratic union in the world, that's an amazing goal, wonderful. If I am to understand things a little correctly here, the general union implies that it's open for membership from all walks of different peoples and such.
Well, in Japan, there are three kinds of unions. There are industry unions, company unions, and general unions. And the first two are exactly what they sound like. An industry union is for an industry. Company union is specifically for one company. And a general union is kind of a catch-all for people that don't quite fit into those two camps. So general unions tend to attract a lot of term-limited employees, hiseki rodosha, we say in Japanese, and employees who are either contract workers, term-limited, part-time, temporary, and so a lot of multicultural workplaces have foreign workers, and universities also have a lot of term-limited contract workers, and so that's why you see a lot of hiseki rodosha or irregular workers find themselves in general unions rather than industry or company unions.
And your union not only serves as a collective of representation for a number of people, if I'm correct in that understanding, it also partners with other unions or advises other localized unions, localized meaning perhaps workplace specific and such. Is my understanding correct here?
That is correct. We're not in competition with any other union, period. We want you to join the union. In my opinion, that's the union, any union. But for sure, we must have solidarity. In Japanese, there are actually two words for solidarity. There's donketsu, and a way to think about that is like the solidarity at your workplace. But there's also rentai, which is solidarity among organizations. I'm here today to build solidarity with Jolt West Tokyo.
Excellent, and it's much appreciated. So could you tell just very briefly, for the people who couldn't join us today, what you spoke on today?
Well, there were two major themes to this presentation. The first one was about your labor contract. So we focused mostly on employment contracts to distinguish between the differences between term-limited employment and permanent employment and explain what the implications are of having the two different kinds of contracts. The second thing that we covered in that part of the presentation was the 5-year rule, this rule that allows you to turn a term-limited contract into a contract without a term or a permanent contract, and talk about how that process works and what some of the pitfalls and loopholes of this particular reform are. So that was all in the first part of the presentation. And then the second part of the presentation was all about, as you said in my introduction, solidarity and collective action, regardless of how well we understand the law. And understanding the law is very important. The most important thing is that people join together, take action, have solidarity, and use their collective pressure to influence management and society as a whole to make our lives better. And we'll see how well I did. What is my definition of solidarity?
Let me see. Solidarity is showing up is the most easy
showing up.
definition.
That
right?
is solidarity. Showing up is not half the battle. It is the battle.
So if I can extrapolate a bit on this, I think what was kind of an underwriting theme of all of this was that unionization or collectivity amongst a workforce does not mean necessarily opposition to an employer or to management. It means coming together to find the greater good, but that does put people at the core and the people's needs. But of course, happy employees mean more functional employees, mean more invested employees. Would you agree with that statement, or is this just my thinking?
Well, my thoughts on the subject aren't inconsistent with your statement. We say in our declaration that our goal is to create harmonious relations with management, and that is our goal. Our goal is labor peace. Unfortunately, conflict is part of the process.
Sure.
The point of a labor union is to give you more bargaining power through your collective action. It's to increase your bargaining power. And right now, without a union, power is not shared. It's that management has power. And organizations or people don't give up power easily. So conflict's part of the process. I don't want to shy away from that. But I will say the best way forward always is for everyone to act in good faith. And for management, if you're listening, we always want to negotiate in good faith. Please come to the table with ideas so that we can have a harmonious resolution to our demands. But make no mistake about it, conflict's part of it, and Tozen Union is willing to fight for our members' job security. We're willing to fight for our members for the security of their income and to increase their rights to paid leave and whatever the members are demanding to improve at their workplace. And we have to stand up and fight for those things, and we're absolutely willing to do that.
So I've got two final questions. The first is, we were limited on time today, but if you had a second session or more time, what would you have added to today?
Well, I would have liked to get into some of the problems we talked about briefly in the first part of my presentation. I listed problems that workers face at their workplaces. And I sort of went through this list really quickly that included things like long work hours, or karoshi, which is the death from overwork, or sexual harassment, which is a big problem, power harassment, things like that. We really talked mainly about this hot topic right now, this 5-year rule. And while I think that that's important, and I expect to be giving presentations about this well into the next couple of years as we learn more about the implications of this rule, I would love to have been able to do a section on, for example, sexual harassment or some of those other problems.
That sounds like an excellent potential follow-up.
Yeah.
Then my final question would be, today we focused generally upon the university, college, and higher education, including Eikawa type of environments. Is there anything, brief advice that you would say maybe people in elementary to high school environments should consider as their main priority within their own contractual issues at the moment, a hot topic perhaps?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Well, most of the workers in Tozen who are in elementary, middle school, or junior high school, or high school environments are assistant language teachers. And the problems facing assistant language teachers are really profound. The direct hire contracts are rarer and rarer. They often have term limits on them, like the number of contract renewals are usually limited. I don't know of any permanently hired ALTs, which I think is a big problem. So you've got to watch out for that. Most people are seeking some kind of direct hire job that rather than ALT dispatch. And ALT dispatch is a real nightmare for workers. Oftentimes, there isn't that much money for assistant language teachers being budgeted in the first place. And when ALT dispatch companies compete, it's a giant race to the bottom. And ALT dispatch teachers are some of the most vulnerable workers in our union. So we have an active ALT local that is building itself into some strength, and its membership has been surging lately. If you're an ALT, we're doing our best to figure out some strategies to improve the working conditions for ALTs in Japan, and we need you. So if you are listening, you're out there and you're an ALT, and I don't care where you're an ALT, I don't care what country you come from. We need your help. We need your help so that we can improve the working conditions for ALTs who work everywhere in Japan. So please contact us. Would it be okay if I close by telling people how to contact us?
Yeah, and if you have any plugs, we'll put the link to your organization within the comment section or above the comment section description of our video and such. But yeah, anything else?
I'm glad that you can put www.tokyogeneralunion.org on your in the comment section. Maybe if you want to just put it in the title too and everywhere else, I don't mind. You can email me directly at tozen.rothman@gmail.com. My email address is listed on the website, so if you didn't write that down or my pronunciation is weird for some reason, you can figure it out that way. Another option to find us is we have a Twitter account. I think it's at Tozen Union, but I think if you do a search for Tozen Union, you'll find us on Twitter. And we also have a Facebook group as well. Some people confuse us with other unions, but there are other unions around, General Union, Tokyo Nambu. We're not in competition with anyone. And we want to make sure that you access them as well if you're interested in learning about what they're up to. They also have their own methods of reaching out. We're a part of Rengo Tokyo, and I know Rengo Tokyo has a Facebook group. Most of that information is in Japanese, but I am Tozen Union's executive to Rengo Tokyo. So if you're curious about what Rengo Tokyo, our labor federation, is doing, you can contact me as well.
Great. So, Gerome, you're a great speaker. Anyone who has a chance to see you would do themselves a favor and a service.
It's very nice of you to say thank you.
If you have anything coming up, I'm also going to put that in the description. But is there anything you'd like to plug here that you do have coming up?
Actually, you know what? There is something. So I should have mentioned this during the presentation, but I didn't. There's a book chapter coming out, and I'm actually in a book, a handbook for people who want to teach at universities here in Japan. And so I will. What I'd like to do is when you post this, I'd like to also give you the link to that book.
We'll put it there.
So
absolutely.
Buy the book that I'm in. That's
Excellent.
another thing. So and from there, we'll update our events on our website, and you can check there. But right now, I can't think of anything that we're doing.
No problem.
So, but definitely, and the last point I want to make is that you can always contact me if you want to have a consultation. I should say consultations are 100% confidential. It's like talking to a lawyer. You have that kind of attorney-client-like privilege, and of course they're free, so you should know you don't have to pay, although donations are always welcome.
Very good. Well, thank you all for listening, and we hope to see you at an upcoming event. Thank you once again, Gerome.
Thank you for having me.